Hey guys, welcome back to Real Life Scenario.
Boom, 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 boom. I just felt like a song. A little.
Last week, Rhonda had like the new hair glow. Now she got the vacation glow.
Very true. Hi. Welcome back. Hi, guys.
Welcome back. Shout out to all our real lovers. If you're new here, make sure to subscribe, like, comment, do all the things to join the Real Lover gang. Because we're happy to be here, and a lot of people are happy to be in this gang. So,
and you're going to be happy too. So just sit tight. Hope you got yourself something nice and cool or warm to drink, whatever your preference is, because we're here. We're here to chat with you today.
We are here to chat with you today. How are you doing, Rhonda?
I'm great. You're very right. I have a vacation glow. It's so tough, though, coming off vacation because you're like, I want my whole life to feel like a vacation, right? Like I want the balance. I want to work, but I don't want to feel like there's such a sharp contrast between vacation life and real life. And it still feels that way. Like literally when I got to my car yesterday and I was driving home, and it was a beautiful drive home, but I was like, oh,
dang it.
Yeah, it's deflating.
Yeah.
It's like your balloon is not popped, but it's just letting the air out little by
who
little.
can help you?
Who?
Gen Z.
Gen Z?
Yeah.
They did, because baby, because they not playing around. I would like my office to be on the beach, and I would like to make $400,000 a year. And I only want to work 3 hours a day.
They figured out something. I don't know. They not standing for it.
Y'all slide in my DMs. Help me. Help me. I'm just one generation removed.
Rhonda trying to live her soft life. That's
Please. All. Like a balanced soft life, because I work hard too.
Yeah.
But I want it to be more soft than it is.
I feel you.
Yes, but it was great. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Good.
Doing well.
Good.
I was out of commission a little bit for the weekend.
Yeah.
Playing basketball, somebody decided to hit me in my face on accident.
Okay.
Because we would have been,
right.
If it was
you
on
from
purpose.
Where? PG County.
Yeah.
What's up? Right next to DC.
Mm-hmm.
Right next to it.
Yeah.
Don't play with Dre.
Don't play with me.
Okay, so you were a little out of commission. You got a little injury.
But I'm good now.
Okay, good stuff.
Blessed and highly favored.
Blessed and highly favored. Is that the
go.
Clark sisters?
I don't know. It's
a gospel song for sure. In the name of Jesus.
Yes,
Amen.
it is. Amen. Amen. So speaking of our real lovers, I want to shout out a real lover. This was a YouTube comment from Homer6968.
Hey, Homer.
Hey. Homer, he or she, said, I love these conversations and they have allowed me to reflect on some things currently happening in my life. This channel has always helped me see how I can better communicate and reevaluate my standards in all relationships. I appreciate you both and look forward to going back and listening to previous episodes.
Oh, we love that. Thank you, Homer. I love when people say they will go back. Like, to me, that's just really cool. Like, you'll set aside time to actually go back and listen to things instead of just picking up from where you started and going forward. I always love and appreciate that. Not that either way is wrong at all, but I love that.
No,
and some of our first episodes are probably forever favorites of mine.
Yeah.
Yes. So shout out to you.
Shout out to you.
Be like Homer.
We appreciate
Leave us a nice comment. Write us a review. We love to hear from you guys.
Thank you so much. All right, you ready for our real life love scenario?
I think so. I think so. Shall we? You want me to get this kicked off? All right. I'm sure you, because you don't live under a rock, have seen some of this stuff floating around. Cam Newton recently discussed his thoughts on marriage, divorce, and family expansion in a recent podcast episode of his podcast. His guest was Dr. Cheyenne Bryant. He revealed that he has 8 children with 3 women and he wants more, but his fear of divorce lowers his desire to get married. Dr. Bryant pointed out that while he takes his time with marriage, he is selectively active in other areas, potentially creating broken families. Social media reacted very strongly to the interview, praising Dr. Bryant's direct approach. Newton's 8th child was recently born, though he has not, I think he has acknowledged the child, but not, he doesn't post, and he's relatively private. I'll put it that way. But yeah, it was very interesting. It was very interesting. When I saw the clip, I was like, sis cleared him with love.
She did.
But she cleared. That was literally my comment. Wherever I saw the clip, I was like, oh, she cleared him. But she did it with love.
I mean, it shows how the way that you articulate something can, control whatever or dictate whatever result or reaction somebody may have. Sure. That a lot of people don't, unfortunately, have that gift. And I'm sure that she has obviously had lots of schooling, lots of education, lots of experience to be able to communicate in that way. Yeah. But I just imagine, one of the thoughts I thought when I saw it was just, I just wish we could all communicate to each other like that in like love and like constructively without trying to embarrass somebody or make them feel bad or insult them. But one thing that I thought that came from this conversation, I thought that was interesting, I saw in a lot of comments, and I want to get your thoughts on it too, is number one, it was the commitment of marriage over a child. Which one is more of a commitment? Do you think that's the right question, or like, what's your thought on that discussion?
I just think it's absolutely crazy that people think that marriage is more of a commitment than having a child with someone. I don't understand it. I never will understand it, because yes, while you share vows and you say till death do us part, you say forever and ever and ever. We know that you can get divorced, and relatively easy. Relatively, because all divorces don't go as easy. Everyone doesn't agree. Some people, for usual financial or just petty reasons, they stretch divorces out. But ultimately, two adult people can decide we don't want to be with each other anymore. But once you make a baby with someone, unless you are a piece of crap, unless you are literally choosing to be an absent parent, you can't just be like, I don't want this no more. Like, you can't. It's a lifelong commitment to be a parent. I mean, that's what I'm saying. You would be a bad person to me. Anyone that opts out of taking care of their kid or opts out of showing up for their child is a bad person. That's not just like, I'm not even gonna mince my words about that. That's not cool at all. So yes, you can choose that, but it doesn't change the fact that that's your child. If the child ever wanted to pursue you, try to figure something out about you, try to have a difficult conversation with you because you abandoned them, you can't get out of that. Like, that's a forever thing. So I will never understand that. Ever, never, ever. I would get married 3 and 4 times over with a prenup every single time before I would have 3 and 4 kids with 2 and 3 men, because I can't take that back. I can't take that back. I could take the relationship back. I could be like, I don't want this no more. But the babies is crazy to me. And I will say the last thing on this before, because I really want to know your thoughts, because I think they're the same. But I don't get why people then tend to question people like myself who are single and childless, because that's a big part of it for me. I want that initial commitment. And I know things are different today. We can have relationships in a million different ways, but I just don't have a desire to create a families with multiple people intentionally, or maybe unintentionally, but intentionally, and just think that that's like, okay. Like, it's just not, that's not for me. That's not what I want for me. And I don't think that's what God wants for me. So yeah, no bueno. So what do you think?
I feel you. No, I agree. I think a child is definitely more of a commitment, especially like you said, if you plan to be present in that child's life. And I think it's just a more impactful life event, I think, in a lot of different ways, not only in the commitment of resources and time that you have to commit to that individual. Also, just like in marriage, there is a legal responsibility that comes with that can be enforced by the government. But also it affects your, I don't know, what do you call it? If you're going out there and dating and you're trying to find someone, it affects your profile as a suitable partner to somebody, right? So it affects your life in that way. Not only in what somebody imagined their life looking like, and you maybe having a kid and they didn't think the person they would be with would have a kid, but also in the time that you can dedicate to dating, in the resources that you can dedicate to spending time with somebody that you're dating, if you're not with the mother of that child. So it's definitely, or father of that child. So it's definitely more of a commitment, as an adult, if you are with or if you decide to have a child with somebody versus marriage. But I do think that if you decide to get married and have a kid, that your relationship with your spouse comes first, and then your relationship with your child.
I agree with that.
So if you're in it, I think that relationship comes first, because that's the person that you chose, and then y'all chose to have this person.
Right.
And if y'all are good, then y'all will probably be in a better position to be good to that child.
Yes.
Yes. So that's
that's a fact. Yeah. I agree with that. Okay. Totally. I don't know. And I know that Cam Newton gets a lot I mean, we've talked about his relationships over the years. Yes. It's been in the news many times, his most recent relationship, because it's with Jasmine Brown, or Watch Jazzy, who's really popular content creator and actress on many different things. I've followed her for years. I think she's beautiful and funny and all of that. I just think that there's such an interesting dynamic that has changed over time, like watching her change over time since being in a relationship with him. Yes, their relationship is public, but it's private. Like, they don't post or talk about each other a ton. It's like, if you know, most of us know now. But I remember she went on tour. She did like a small comedy tour while she was pregnant, and she had this joke, talking about how people, when she was first dating him, people were like, that man got 7 kids with 2 mamas and blah, 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 blah. And, they were just being discouraging to her. And the joke was like, y'all say that now, but what you gonna do when a $100 million nigga press you? And I'm like, it's good because it's a joke, right?
Yeah.
But how much of that is actually a joke? Because would you? And she might, because I'm not gonna, while I don't like his style, his hair, the way he dressed, none of that stuff, he's a handsome man. So he could very well have pulled whoever he wanted prior to being the NFL player, the superstar Cam Newton. But how much of that did go into her ability to say, well, I know he got 7 kids with 2 women, but that's all right. Cause he's very rich and he could take care of those kids. And how much of that made her say nah? Because if it was just like a regular guy that has 7 kids, I don't know that many women that would like date a man with 7 children with no apprehensions about it. Like, and I'm not saying she wasn't apprehensive, but I don't know. It's interesting. I try not to put my feelings and thoughts on what I think other people should do. I just know what I would and would not do. And more than anything, it's less about him having so much money that he can financially provide for them. It is, what is the quality of your relationship with them? Do they live in the same city as you? Like, yes, could you just jump on a jet and go see them? Sure, but it's not the same. If you have to fly to see your kids, there's already a massive barrier with your ability to be as active when you can't just drive to go and see them. It's already hard when you have to drive to go and see them when they don't live in your same household. So for me, that would be a major concern. Like, how active are you truly, and what's your relationship like with their moms? And I hope that all those things are great in his life, but I couldn't agree with Dr. Bryant more that while yes, it sounds like he's a great father and all of that, you very much, whether you did it intentionally or unintentionally, you created broken family. You created broken homes. This was just what you did. And now you have one that's not, it's not broken, because I assume him and Jazzy and their new baby live in the same household, but it's still not marriage, and you're scared to get married because of divorce, but you're not scared to make another baby, even though you've fallen out of relationship with the last 2 baby moms. I don't get that. Like, it's just, to me, it's a crock of shit. It's just a crock of bullshit. And Cam can frame it very nicely. He can package his words very well. But I think Dr. Bryant was able to like see through that. And it's like, I hear you, brother. Like, I'm not saying you're a bad guy, but the math ain't mathing. If you fear marriage, then certainly you would fear creating another child with a woman that you're not married to, right? Because what guarantee did you have in this situation versus the last one versus the one before that? What were the guarantees? There were none. There are no guarantees in these things called relationships. So it's not working.
Yeah.
Just say you don't want to get married. I'd rather you just say that. Just I don't want
being
to.
like, I want to. I just am taking my time.
I'm just. Nah, you don't want to, because especially again using money. The girl is going to sign a prenup. That's just goes without saying, and you could probably make it as ironclad as you want because you have the upper hand. That says to her, if you walk out of here, you ain't getting nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So then, what would you be losing if you divorced her? If it didn't work out, what would you really be losing? Nothing. She would get what she would leave with what she came in with.
The question I have then, I guess, if somebody views marriage in that way, do you want to marry them? Because I mean, like,
no,
because in the sense that everybody has different definitions of what that is, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So even if somebody is like, I want it, but I don't know, I'm taking my time. Maybe their definition of what that is and the value they find in it is different than yours. So even if they do technically get to a point to where they feel like they are ready, y'all still might not have the same definition of what marriage actually is or what it means or how it could benefit your life. So
sure. It's
like, if you're in that situation where you're on the fence, it's like, just stay on the fence.
Mm-hmm.
You good.
Oh, yeah.
Like I'm good. But what do you, I think the selfish thing is very interesting because I hear a lot of women having that conversation too. Like they get to a certain age sometimes and they're just like, I just want a baby. Like
sure.
Dad don't gotta be around. Like
mm-hmm.
I just want a child.
I get that.
And I guess that's the same situation, right? Like creating an environment to where it's like a broken home essentially.
Yeah.
So it's tough.
It is tough. And I really do get it. That's why I think I'm like trying to be really sensitive about how to frame it, because truthfully, there's no such thing as normal. They're just traditional ways of doing things, whether you're guided by spiritual teachings or whatever the reasons are. So what could work for them or for you or for another person, if that works for them, then great. They're people who never got married. They've been together for 25, 30 years. They had children. It's a loving environment. Wonderful. They're women who have a child later in life by themselves because they couldn't do it the way that they originally wanted to with a partner, and they're a great parent, and that child has a great village, if you will, raising it. So nothing is truly mutually exclusive. So I do get it. And again, even throwing a bone to Cam, maybe he really did think the first one was a long-term situation. Mm-hmm. And I know that the second one, he was with her for years. He's with her for many years. And I think even engaged to her, so I think we make attempts, right, at finding the one and locking in on the one, but sometimes life just hands you a set of cards that don't align. But I don't know. It's tricky. I just think that people should be really thoughtful and careful and considerate when they are thinking about becoming parents. I don't think that we should happen into it as much as we do. Like, I know that I was not planned. I don't know very many people that were planned babies. Thankful to be here. Appreciate y'all. But I want people to be more thoughtful about that. Thinking about what type of life you're going to give the child, starting with who you're choosing as their other parent. That's all I'm saying. Like, and I find him to just be, it's a little sorcery. It's a little sorcery going on. And I could see what little bit I've seen of Jazzy talking about how she is as a girlfriend or how she is as a woman in a man's life. I could see her very easily being very like enamored by it all. Very like mystified by it all. Like, I'm sure he's probably charming and all the things, and she has such a lifestyle now that she probably didn't have before she met him. But something about it just feels greasy. It just feels like there is bad intention here. A woman at 45 making a decision to have a child before she can't anymore feels very different than, I'm going to just get my girlfriend pregnant over and over and over again. Those two things feel different, although they have the same results.
Yeah. I think we just have to be real that those people who say they don't want to get married, it's fear-based. Mm-hmm. And we just got to be real with that. And I'm not saying that your fear is legitimate. I'm not here to argue the other way to say that you should get married. But when you act like it's not fear, then I'm like, no, it's a fear. Like a lot of I don't care anybody. Most people have some type of relationship, intimate relationship, sexual relationship with a man or with a woman. Like, I don't know your situation, but all marriage is putting a contract and officially stating and declaring that this is somebody that you are with.
Legally bound to, and happy to be responsible for.
And the thing is that the world rewards you for that.
Yes.
We talked about that with Dr. Chris Marsh, who was a guest. You should check that episode out if you haven't seen it.
Yes.
But it talks about how the world is set up for that dynamic. Like the taxes, you pay less, family plans.
Totally.
All these different things.
Double occupancy, you get better rates. I mean, everything.
Everything is set up for that dynamic. So for you to reject that dynamic means that you're fearful of something, which is the truth.
That's it.
And if that's your thing, then that's your thing. You don't have to.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to take advantage of it, but don't act like it's not fair, like it's some other mystical thing. It's just, you just don't want to have that commitment that way.
That's it. And the last thing I'll say on that interview, because I haven't seen the whole thing myself, but what I have seen, it was disheartening, to be honest with you. Like, I do think that she has a good heart, and like, she really was thoughtful about the questions she was being asked about herself, but even in their dialogue. And I just felt like because he probably felt attacked, and she totally wasn't attacking him. But I think it was triggering, you know, somebody kind of calling you out on like, you've made some bad decisions. It doesn't mean you're a bad guy. I just think he just handled her poorly. And I want to not see stuff like that. I think it's cool to be like, you know what? Yeah, I did create this. I have made mistakes. And I'm trying to do better with the new relationship that I'm in with our new baby. I want this to really be forever for me. Yes, I'm scared to get married to her right now, but could I see her as my wife? Yes, I'm very happy in this dynamic, and this is the first time that I've even felt so close to being a husband. I'm working on things to get over that because she deserves that, and I want that for her, and just as much as I want it for me, and most importantly, I want it for our baby. I want my baby, this baby, to see that. I do, before it's old enough to see the opposite of that, you know? Like, I would have appreciated that more than like, oh, well, who are you to say something because you're not married and you don't have kids, which is all it was. It was just him trying to demean her or take jabs at her because she doesn't have kids and she isn't married, almost to make her less valuable when having a conversation with him. So that part was tough to digest. And again, I'm not even halfway through it. And that was happening from like minute 2 of the interview.
Well, I think we have to acknowledge that just because two parents consent on something doesn't mean it's best for the child.
Yeah, true.
Like, that's a reality. Just because both parents come together and say, this is what we're going to do, and we both feel okay with it, we both feel good about it, we both agree on it, that ultimately is still best for the child. So it's like that dynamic being split, they both might consent. So, you know, you might look and say, hey, we agreed to it, it's fine. But when the child gets older, or grows up, or has these conversations, they may look at you and say, that's not the dynamic I would have preferred. That's not what helped me. That's not like, no, I didn't like this at all. So it's like, that's the thing you have to consider. And unfortunately, you don't get that feedback until later on in life, and it's hard to reverse that.
You just gotta hope you're doing your best.
You just gotta hope you're doing your best, which a lot of parents are, but it's just important to understand that being a child who's been in a situation with not having mom and dad in it, then having my stepdad in it, like, I can tell you what dynamic I preferred. I preferred if my parents aren't jiving and feeling each other, for it to be separate. I prefer that, you know, and I prefer that if it's a happy, healthy situation, my pops being in a home, because I've experienced that too. So it's like, although you consent on something, it may not be best for the kid.
Super true. Thoughts and prayers.
Thoughts and prayers
to everyone involved. Shout out to Dr. Bryant. Hey, if you in this area, girl, come see us.
Please.
We would love to chat with you. All right, let's jump into our real love scenario. This week we hear from a special young lady. And she says, so one night I was heavily intoxicated and I started an altercation with my boyfriend. I called the police and he was arrested. I honestly didn't remember this incident until the next day, and I had to be told of the interaction. Looking back on it, I never would have put him in jail if I was in my right state of mind and sober. I am now in counseling and trying to get a better understanding of myself and my trauma. I'm also learning how to heal properly. Is there a way to move past this and build our relationship stronger? I just want him to know that I'm in the healing process and will never do anything like that to him again. I just need advice on how to move forward and save my relationship. Thanks for writing in.
Locked up, won't let me out. Ooh, won't let me out.
Locked up,
won't let me out.
No, won't let.
You got that man locked up.
Who Jesus?
Who I be?
Who Jesus? Let's just get all the disclaimers out the way.
Let's get it.
We do not mean for anything that we say to come across as offensive to you or anybody for that matter.
No.
Number 2, there will be some comedy.
Yes.
Okay. Even though this is not really a funny situation.
It is not.
It's not funny at all. And last but certainly not least, you can take our advice or you cannot. That is always an option.
That's always an option.
Always your choice. Okay. I think I got them all out the way.
I think so.
All right.
Goodness gracious, she got this man locked up.
Whew.
And say, how do I get back?
I'm surprised you have the option to get back.
We don't know. That's why she asking. Maybe.
And the fact that there is even some, to me, if the door was truly closed, she would know. She would not be writing in.
Oh, come on. She's a woman.
Dre, don't start.
Y'all got hope.
Sorry, my allergies are so bad.
How many situations have you seen with a door
you right.
definitely seem closed and not like it's going anywhere, but y'all like, I'm going to make it work.
It's just got to be a different way I can say
I
it.
got to figure out a way.
Just fix his favorite food. Just drop it off at his job.
Y'all,
maybe if I make food for him and his basketball buddies.
Fairy tales is part of y'all DNA.
Damn,
y'all got a lot of hope.
We do.
Built in.
We do.
To that XY chromosome or whatever chromosome.
Oh, Jesus. What? Okay.
Where you want to start, Rhonda?
I want to start with just forgiveness in general.
Okay.
Like, because forgiveness is such a big word. And I think in general, we all know what it means. You know, it is essentially to give grace to someone for doing something that they either meant to do or didn't mean to do. And doing your best to move past that and not hold those things against them. Pause. Forgiveness, though, what I think some people do is try to include like access, and forgiveness does not equal access. I can forgive you. I can give you grace. I can say I'm past it. I'm over it. But it does not mean that there's access. Okay. So I want to just talk about forgiveness and what things feel unforgivable to you.
Well, I'm glad that you brought that up.
That's what this feels like to me.
I'm
okay? Like just, unforgivable.
Just to let you know, feels like, no coming back from this.
Yeah.
To your point, I want to actually looked up the definition for forgiveness, what it means to forgive. But then also when you talk about access, I think that goes into one thing we had discussed too, was reconciliation. Mm-hmm. So I want to give the definition for both and then talk about unforgivable acts for me and how, I think this all could go. So to forgive means to stop feeling angry or resentful towards someone for an offense, a flaw, or a mistake.
Okay.
Reconciliation is to restore friendly relationships between. So those are two different things. Two different things. I think that one, forgiveness is more about yourself. Reconciliation is more about the other person.
Very true.
Right? So when you say unforgivable acts, I don't think there are any for me that I would imagine are unforgivable. And I say that looking at this definition, I don't want to carry anger and resent for the rest of my life. Right?
Yeah.
But when I forgive might be on a timeline. You know what I mean?
Might be on a real long timeline.
Like I will hope that I could get past things and don't carry the anger and resentment for the rest of my life.
Right.
But how long I carry that, don't know.
Might be 2 days, might be 20 years.
It might be a long time.
Yeah.
And some things are like triggered resentment and anger, right? Like you get to a point to where you get past it. It's not on your daily thought or mind.
Yeah.
But if you see something, then it triggers that anger and that resentment again.
Yes.
So that, I don't know. That part of unforgiveness could be hard. Like I said, I would like to think
you could forgive all things.
I could forgive all things.
But just some things might take a little longer.
That's all. But reconciliation is a lot of irreconcilable things.
For sure.
To where it's like friendly?
Never.
No.
Never.
No.
Not a chance.
No.
It wouldn't even be nice to your dog.
Nope. You know where my head went? The female dog, I wouldn't even be nice to yo.
Bitch. Trey not gonna say it, I'ma say it. I wouldn't be nice to nothing connected to you, okay? So I think, yes, agreed, really. Perhaps my unforgivables are things that would take an extreme amount of time. And I don't want to, I'm like you, because I know what anger feels like, and it takes up a lot of space in your mind and in your body. Like you feel it. It's not a good feeling. So you don't want to have that. But I could very well never forgive certain things. Like, as in, I released it and like it doesn't sit in my body anymore, but triggered, talk, it comes up, something happens. Yeah, never. Like never. Not only no reconciliation, but like I'm still mad. If the topic comes up, I'm still mad about it. And there are probably only like a couple of things today that are like that for me, but there are things that happened to me. Like they were things that were very traumatic to me. So I will never forgive, things that happened like that were violations to me. That there was a choice and the person did not need to choose to violate me. And I mean, violent things, right? I'll never forgive those people for that. I have come to peace with them and I've asked God to like help me one day get to that place, but I can't say that I'm there right now. But I think in like a relationship dynamic, one thing I've always said, I will never be able to get over you having a baby while we're in a relationship. Ever. If you cheat and you make a child, it not only are we done, but dog, like don't even apologize. It's no point. Like just go away from me. And to your example, it is because the child, I'm always going to see the child as such, as the child that you had when you were cheating on me. It will be a reminder that this happened for something that you weren't even supposed to be doing. It's crazy because could I forgive cheating? Maybe, possibly. It depends on what happened. But a baby, man, it's just no way. I can't come back from that.
Like maybe that situation, well, that's your personal feeling with it, but I feel like you could maybe exit them out of your life mentally and through phones. But I know a situation where somebody got pregnant by their sister's husband.
Yeah, see, nah.
So that's your niece and your daughter at the same time, something like that?
No.
So it's hard to forgive that when every day.
For sure.
That's
how.
Like we can't even talk about family.
How?
I can't meet somebody new out. Do you have any siblings?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so well, let me explain it to you. Like, no, I can't do that. So it's that.
Yeah, that's I can see that.
And then physical abuse. I could never. The day that I pray it never happens, but the day that if it ever did happen, nope, nothing, can't come back from it.
You gonna be mad because he put you in jail, huh?
Yep. I'm gonna earn it though. I'm gonna earn the jail sentence. That's for sure. That's for sure. I'm gonna earn the drive to the precinct. Yes, I am, because it's no way I can't. Because what could you say?
Yeah.
What could you really say about like that? You didn't mean to do it. Surely you did. No one. You could have things that guided you into that. I believe that trauma creates those types of behaviors. Certainly, I believe that. But I don't have to like accept it just because you watch somebody in your family do that, or you grew up in a household where your dad did that to your mom, so you thought that was the way that you. I can listen to all of that. I'm never taking you back. I'm like, because to me that means you lack an extreme amount. You lack the ability to be disciplined when it comes to physical violence. Like, you understand how many layers like are between me being irritated and then swinging on someone? There are lots of layers between that. Like, so the fact that you didn't get to step A or step B, maybe you did, but I can't come back from that. And I probably would hold that anger for a long time. Again, that would require God's intervention to walk that out of me and out of my body. It's nothing that he could say. He can apologize all day, write the letters, get the mama to say he mean it. Yep, that's cool. I'm good though. I don't even want to see him. I don't want to see anything. Him, his friends, everybody gotta go.
Yeah, I think that they're maybe getting past it is not necessarily letting go of anger or resentment, but not necessarily personalizing it anymore. Because I could be like, I don't have to be physically abused to be angry about physical abuse.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
So it's like, it will always anger you to think about it, to have experienced it, but to not like personalize it to where it's like that person, I'm just like deep. Like, I think that's when you graduate to like more of the forgiveness aspect of it. And it doesn't personally affect you to where it's just like, you know, I'm not necessarily focused on that person or that experience anymore. Just the overall feeling of abuse, I can still be angry at though.
Absolutely. And I think the last thing for me is if they have an abusive relationship with something, like if they abuse substances or they develop abusive habits, like gambling, a sex addiction, all these different things that, again, can I understand how you could have developed these things, understood where they potentially came from? Yes. It does not mean that I have to be in relationship with you while those things are happening. I would like to believe, because I'm a child of an addict, you know, my dad was an addict, I have a intimate relationship with the understandings of it. And so I believe that I could be there for someone, but it's so emotionally taxing that I don't know that I would really want to take myself through it, because it is so much that it can be very damaging to you just with you trying to help someone. You think about, like, you learn how to swim, they tell you don't help people that are drowning. Like, don't put your body into trying to help them, because they can kill you when you're just trying to save them. It's the same thing with addiction. Like, you get so involved with trying to support them and be there for them, and like that it can drown you. And so as much as I would not want to abandon, because if I'm married to a person, it's sickness and in health, you know, it's that could be the worst. So I'm not saying I would walk away right away, but I don't know that I have like a lifelong ability to like support you constantly relapsing or just not doing the things you need to do to not have an abusive or addictive relationship with anything in your life. So that would probably be another thing, but you have to work your way up to that. And funny enough, since we got this scenario, that is now a new thing on the list. I don't know if I can forgive you sending me to jail, especially if I ain't do nothing. If I didn't do anything and you lied to the police, yeah, the relationship is over. The minute I got put in that car, you might as well pack my shit up inside that house, because I can't come back from that. I can't come back from that, especially as a black person.
Yeah.
Can't do it. Can't do it. I'm scared to go to jail now.
Yeah.
For just petrified, okay? But my person intentionally saying something to the police to get me arrested to like hurt me, yeah, you did it. You got it. If you were trying to hurt me, you won. So yeah, I couldn't come back from those things.
Yeah, substance abuse is very interesting. I've never dealt with it, and I know that you have experienced it. Not you being
right,
not you abusing substances, but experienced it with your dad. But
and several people in my life. Yeah.
It's like I don't think I've ever necessarily dealt with substance abuse in particular, but I think addiction is, really what substance abuse is. Sure. And I think that it really just takeaways your focus on what is most important, and it allows you or doesn't allow you to, I guess, what am I trying to say? Like shift your mind. Like if you're in a certain place and you have priorities, that addiction doesn't allow you to take care of those priorities, and
that's right,
keeps you in that space of whatever you're addicted to.
Yes.
And I can imagine with relationships, that's really what it's all about, right? It's like having mutual respect, no matter what the relationship is. If our priorities aren't aligned, then we feel a disconnect.
Yeah.
Like if I go to Chick-fil-A and I go and talk to the cashier, we now have a relationship. But if that cashier, when I come up, is off worrying about something else, doing something else, I feel like we're disconnected. So we don't have the same priorities. So I don't feel this relationship is valued. I don't feel like you can service me. I don't feel like, so that's even a small, instance and example of if you have a relationship to where you're not on the same page, your priorities aren't aligned, and you're not trying to accomplish the same thing, how you could feel disrespected and not feel aligned with what you're trying to do. So I can imagine even on a larger scale when it comes to child and parent, or just mutually being in a relationship, how if somebody's priorities and focus is in a completely different space than yours, how you guys won't be aligned, and then that would therefore impact the respect that you guys have in your relationship and how y'all move forward.
You nailed it. You absolutely nailed it. And it's a perfect segue to talk about like how substance abuse or addictions in general just have a really bad impact on all relationships. This is not just romantic ones. Surely that's what we're talking about here. But it's interesting that she talked about, she was intoxicated that night.
That's the problem. I would tell you that's the problem. She said, "What should I do? How should..." You were drunk. Stop drinking.
Yeah.
That's number one.
And I assume that when she said counseling, she may be talking about that, like that she's in counseling for that and she's learning how to deal with her trauma. Potentially, I feel like in a very coded way, that's what she's trying to say. So kudos to you if you have taken the steps to get help with your alcohol intake. But it's so funny, right? Because alcohol is the most commonly accepted drug of choice.
My gosh, we can go on this because I've dealt with this in my relationship to where Bree had issues with alcohol in her relationship with alcohol, and I now have a different viewpoint of it. At this point in my life, to where I'm really starting to stop drinking just altogether, and it's less just about a mentality and decisions, but even more of just operating at my fullest and best potential that I possibly can operate. But I've seen it has affected my relationship. I haven't had this story, but I've had some crazy stories that when you drink, you turn into a different person. I love the person that I'm with, but whoever this person is, it's an
alternate version.
It's a completely different version. And if you've been with somebody who has issues with shutting their brain off, if you've had issues, know people who've had issues with where they are in life, you can tell the difference between somebody drinking to numb versus somebody drinking to enjoy
the drink. Yeah.
Like it's a completely different way they go about it, a completely different like ferocity that they drink with. Like it is completely different. And lastly, this is for you who wrote in, and for all the people who dealing with this. If it gets to this point to where it's this dramatic and traumatic, slowing down isn't the option. Stopping is what you need to do. Like, because I see people try to juggle it. Well, maybe I just need to take a few less and watch my drinks. No, you have a problem. If it gets to that point to where, this is my opinion speaking from experience, if it gets to that point to where you said you started the altercation because you were so drunk that you couldn't even remember
somebody to tell you about it.
What happened? That's a major issue. Because luckily it didn't result in anything worse that could possibly happen. So he went to jail, but like people lose their lives over that. What you're talking about right now, lives have been lost because of that.
Yes.
There's no slow down. You need to stop. Because your relationship with alcohol is not a healthy one. You couldn't cut yourself off or stop at a certain moment. You went to the point to where you weren't even mentally there in that moment.
Yep.
You need to cut that. That's getting to the point to where it's out of control.
Absolutely. And that is a very dangerous place because at that point you either do have an addiction or you're in the infancy of it. And listen, we're no trained professionals when it comes to addiction. We're not addiction specialists. So if you think you have a problem, even if you think you have a problem, it's worth making the call to try to find out if you do have a problem. But to Dre's point, blacking out not being able to recall parts of what happened or any of what happened, making decisions that you know for a fact in a sober mind you wouldn't have made it. And listen, it doesn't have to be alcohol. If you're like that off of anything that you take, if you're like that off of the wrong foods, I know that's a stretch, but anything that you consume, if it alters your mind so much so that you can't remember, recall, recount, or you start making decisions that you never would make if you weren't on it, you are in a very dangerous place. And that's why I said earlier, it would be so hard to maintain a relationship like that, because you're not with who you want to be with. You're with these two versions of this person where, and it's so sad because you want to save them from themselves, right? Like I'm sure some of the situations, it's like you might have been watching it almost in slow motion. Like we out, we having fun, we having drinks, we having a good time. But then it's like you could probably retrospectively go back in that night and remember. You know the story that's like, this picture of me, this was right when da 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 da. Let me tell you how the night went. And then you go backwards. I'm sure there were times where you could remember like that drink right there, that shot right there was the beginning to the end of my night, that particular night when things went left.
Well, you can see it's like a domino effect almost. It's like I could picture like early on in our relationship, I had too many of those experiences, right? The drunk, crazy. Mm-hmm. So then now every time I see you taking a drink,
it's like,
even in the beginning of the night,
oh shit,
you could tell my mood starts to change because I'm anticipating. But now you can feel my anticipation and my mood change. So now you're drinking even more because you're pissed off about my mood in that moment because I'm already anticipating. So it's like this thing that just like,
it's a Ferris wheel.
It's a Ferris wheel. Yeah. It all interlocks and it's hard to avoid. That's why I said it's not just gradually, because I'm not going to believe you're just having one or two, or that you'll just be good with one or two. Like I'm just anticipating as soon as you take a sip, here we go again, right? And that's going to be my thought. And I want to ask you this too, because it's at the end of it, because I have my own thought process around it. I want to see if you agree, you may not, is I don't believe in the whole, I'll never do this again, like promising that to somebody.
Yeah.
Like, especially when you did something so traumatic, so like out of bounds of something that you aren't supposed to do, like to promise that to somebody that you'll never do it again. Obviously you went to that length because you couldn't control yourself in some way, shape, or form. That's one thing. Number two is that I probably ain't gonna believe you anyways if you tell me you're not gonna do it again. So why promise that over the top that you're not gonna do it again? I think that you should just say like, I'm gonna work extremely hard to try to not do this again. I need help. Could you help to hold me accountable in these moments? But to like just promise like I won't ever do this again, I personally don't believe that. And if somebody were saying that to me, I would just be like,
well, how do you know?
Yeah, how do you know? But also, if something gets to a point to where it's really either happened a lot of times or truly impacted to the relationship to where it went against something that you can control, like we talk about this on the channel so much, that it takes time to reverse habits and reverse things that you've done. So it's almost doing a disservice to yourself to try to just cold turkey stop something that you have habitually probably have done, but then it got to the point to where it went over the line.
Yeah.
Because with most of this stuff, it's not like this just happened and you know, this is the first time any glimpse of it has happened. Cheating, yeah, you cheated this time, but I'm sure you flirted or went up to the line or got really inappropriate, like many of times before you actually cheated. You got drunk and got him arrested. I'm sure that's not the first time you got uncontrollably drunk. You blocked out. Like these aren't things that just happen to where you could just stop it.
Right.
Like these are things to probably have been going on. So for you to say, I promise I won't do it again. You don't know that. I don't know that. I just prefer that you don't say that. Even the Bible says that, like, don't tell God, if you do this, I promise.
Yeah.
You don't know. And you putting your own self on the hook for something that obviously you can't control in this moment.
Sure.
And that's okay. You can't control it. But if you think I just know for me, I prefer that somebody just doesn't do that because I'm half not believing you anyways, and then I don't think it's realistic.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, and I absolutely hear where you're coming from. And what I think about, like, when people make really bad decisions, or they make decisions that I would classify as catastrophic, like getting someone sent to jail when they didn't do anything to you is a pretty catastrophic decision, right? When you do that and you're trying to walk that back, I believe it's a better approach to commit to the smaller management of how to not get back to the catastrophic thing. So basically what you're saying is, obviously, right, I don't want to ever call the police on you again and get you sent to jail, because I know how catastrophically bad that was. But what I'm going to commit to is not drinking anymore. I'm going to commit to not taking drinks anymore. I'm going to, even before that, I'm going to commit to calling to see if I need help. I'm going to commit to going to a meeting or going to talk to someone to see if I have a problem. Commit to the baby steps, right? Because you
commit to the steps.
Commit to the steps to stop you from making the catastrophic decision. Trying to accomplish the overall goal. It even makes me think about, like, my weight loss journey. Like, I'm using a platform to help me do that, and it's psychologically based, because it's not as simple for people like myself and lots of people to just don't eat that and just go to the gym, right? Yeah, okay, cool. But there's a mind issue going on with why I can't always commit to it. So what I love about the program is that every week it makes me commit to a step that leads to my weight loss. Some of the commitments are, I'm going to walk 10,000 steps today, or I'm going to commit to including a green vegetable in every one of my meals, or I'm going to commit to taking the stairs every time the stairs are available, as well as an elevator, right? Commit to the smaller steps, because ultimately it'll get you to your greater goal. So yes, do not make grandiose promises of, like, I will never cheat again. Start with the smaller temptations that led you to that. I'm going to go out less. I'm going to stop hanging with my friends who don't respect my relationship. Make smaller decisions that lead to making a bigger good decision. Small steps lead to bigger outcomes. So I agree with you. I get why people do it, because you want to make this declaration that the thing that hurt you the most, I'll never do that thing again. But like you said, it's little things that led to you doing that thing. So I need you to do the little things to undo that thing. And while not trying to say that this person is addicted to alcohol, I don't know that, but
unhealthy relationship with
you have a very unhealthy relationship with it that led to a very catastrophic decision. I am sure that there are probably other decisions that you've made that weren't great. That's just one example of them. And like,
I don't need you committing to not doing something that you shouldn't be doing. That's the thing. Like, you should not have called the police to send me to jail. I don't need you to promise not to. That should never happen.
Right.
I won't put a gun to your head. That shouldn't happen.
Anyway.
Right. Like, but you committing to maybe not drinking, which overall in life isn't necessarily a wrong thing, but you committing, that means more than committing to the thing you shouldn't. You shouldn't even have to verbalize that that's not something you should be doing, because we all universally know you shouldn't be doing.
You should not be making false police reports and getting people sent to jail.
Like, you don't got to promise me you won't do that anymore, because that shouldn't even be a thing we should even be talking about.
That's
but
so true.
Rhonda explained it perfectly. It's all these steps, the things that led to those actions. That's what you need to commit to, and devise that plan. Like, of first, in any situation when you come to apologies, as you know, we bring it to a close, is one is acknowledging that you did something wrong, and the position that you put the person in and how you made them feel. That's where first, like, if you want any forgiveness from anybody, I think that's the first step, from being in that position, the one receiving and the one giving. Like, if somebody is trying to apologize to me or wants forgiveness from me and they can't even acknowledge how they made me feel in that moment, then it's nothing even to really talk about. Like, you have to know what it is that you did wrong, how you made me feel, because my only fear in going back is it happening again.
Yeah.
And if you don't understand how you made me feel, what you did that was wrong, then why am I coming back to the situation? Because the chances of it happening again are probably very, very high.
True.
So it's like she asked, like, if this person, I don't know what type of relationship y'all got. Maybe this is the craziest thing. Maybe it ain't.
Yeah.
But if you're in a position of where you have an opening, you have to acknowledge all those things. And I think putting together a plan as to how you are going to try to, like Rhonda said, put the steps in order, or have an action plan for how you're going to not let that situation happen again, not only in the short term, but the long term, I think is the best course of action.
Yeah, absolutely. I want you to do two things, honestly. One, I want you to get real with yourself about if you've forgiven yourself, right? Because to do something like that you know is really wrong, and then to have to even reckon with the fact that you did something and you don't even remember doing it, right? That's just like not a good feeling. If it was taking the toilet tissue downstairs and you can't remember if you actually did that, that's one thing. But this is such a major thing. I think that you need to be very focused on making sure that you are doing the work that you need to do to believe in yourself that you made a bad decision and that you could get past it. So that's the first thing. I think the second most important thing is to prioritize how you can get better, and not in an effort to save your relationship. Right? Go. Like, you just need to get better, because this is not a behavior that you want to have exist in this relationship or any relationship, a friendship, your relationship with your parents, anybody that you're in life or doing life with. You don't ever want to be in a situation where you're doing this, because it could ruin any relationship that you are in. And so I want you to be focused on you. Again, those two things, forgiving yourself and making sure that you're doing the work for you to be better, those are really for you. And anything that you do to take better care of yourself is going to naturally benefit the people around you. So that becomes a fringe benefit. You being healthy, whether you continue to have a relationship with alcohol or not, it should be a healthy one. If you can't have a healthy one, then you shouldn't have one at all. Are you going to be a good girlfriend who can have a disagreement without it having to escalate to the point of police, whether you're drinking or not, and nobody did anything where the police are required? That's also, again, an important skill, to learn how to have conflict that doesn't require yelling, fighting, or anything that the police have to get involved in. All of these things are skills I think you should be more focused on than trying to necessarily save this relationship. And if you really want to get him to see that you feel bad about what you did and you really do want him back, I think, to me, the best approach would be to be honest about that that's what you want, but you respect if that is not something he can do. I think you release him. And if he really sees that you're doing the work and he can believe in you and he can then trust that this work is going to benefit him, then allow him to make the decision to come back. Don't campaign for his forgiveness. Don't campaign for him to take you back. You just do the work. And if that is who God has for you and that's who you're supposed to be with, it's going to happen. But you've got to focus on being a better person for yourself, period. So, I mean,
one thing, based off of what Rhonda said, that could happen, that I've seen happen, is that after you go through the work and really go through therapy and do all the self-healing, you might realize that, and I'm not saying this because I do not know your situation, I'm just giving a different perspective, but the relationship that you're in might be some of the contributing factors to why you do some of the things you do, like the drinking so much and things of that nature.
Such a good point.
So I've seen people go through things and they're trying to do everything to save the relationship, but then actually once they get help, they realize that they're not in a healthy relationship or conducive environment for the life that they ultimately need to live and want to live. So part of knocking the addiction or the traumatic behavior is by releasing the relationship,
changing the environment
and changing the environment for them. So that's possible too. Like Ron said, you doing everything to not focusing on try to, do this for your relationship, you might, after you do all this, realize that the relationship is part of that. And it's not that they are to blame, because you are your own person and you make your own decisions. But environments do mean a lot, and some are conducive for healthy living, some are conducive for non-healthy living.
Absolutely.
So that might be a part of your discovery, is that this relationship is not the relationship for you.
That's it, man. That was such a good point. Such a good point. Well, listen, we hope we were able to help you, wishing you healing. And again, kudos to you for doing whatever work you're doing to figure it out for yourself. If you have a scenario and you want to write into us, head over to relationshiprestore.com, click that contact button and let us know what's going on with you. And follow us on social media at Ronnie Cakes,
as Joy Smith,
and at Relationship Restore. Don't forget to send us your questions that you need.
Oh, no question for me today.
I don't got no question for you today.
They enjoyed my answer.
They listen. Shout out to, I cannot think of her name right now, but she clearly listened right as the episode dropped, and she was like, I love that I got like a real answer from you, and I love the sorcery answer from Dre. It was literally perfect. I'm like, that's what we're here for. So
and Rhonda was trying to clown me on my answer.
No, was it not hilarious? It was hilarious.
Akili H, I think Akili.
Keely. Yes, Akili H. Yeah, she got the razzle dazzle from Dre. It was good. Listen, sometimes we are exactly aligned. Other times we're yin and yang. Either way, it works. It works. So if you have questions, definitely slide into our DMs. We would love to have some fun with you. And I will see you next week.
Peace.